Ndị be anyị ekeneni m unu n'ụbọchị nke taa. Anyị sị na ya dịrị ndị Igbo na mma. Dịka o si dị, ihe a bụ Igbo Media ka anyị si wee na-ewetara unu ya bụ nnukwu ozi dị oke mkpa gbasịta maka ana Igbo and Igbo community and ihe debe na Nigeria. Ya bụ ife ka anyị na-ewetara unu na Igbo Media. Dịka isi wee na-esole anyị, ọ bụ na nke a bụ ụbọchị izizi gị ị na-abịa n'ilu akwụkwọ na Igbo Media, kabaru ka i subscribe and turn on your notification ka ị lapụ miss any of our update dịka anyị na-etikwu ya n'ilu akwụkwọ kwa mgbe. Dịka o si dị, o nwere ya wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa gbasịta maka ka ya bụ ife si ada and gbasịta maka ka ya bụ ife si akpọtụ n'ala Igbo. Biko mma achọ ka ige ya bụ ife. Ihe a bụ Biafran Prime Minister MAZI Simon Ekpa. O nwere ife okwu n'ilu akwụkwọ mma achọ ka unu ga-esi ya bụ ife ọ na-adọrọpụrụ anyị ifu nche n'ilu akwụkwọ gbasịta maka ihe ndị a niile okwu. Alright, over to you, sir.
Also, I would like to welcome the audience who are following us, especially the people from the Biafra. And this show is very much about the Eritrean and the Biafran people. And I think they have a lot of stuff, things related, So we are on the same struggle. And this program is one of the tools and means that we are using in our struggle. Mr. President Bahdurai as well, can you give us a background history of yourself and the transitional Eritrean government in exile?
Great. Primarily, I think I want to thank you, Mr. Hiyabu, for having us here. And I also want to give the Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, so do Mr. Ilyas for being here with us. This is only the beginning of so many to come. So I think we are very happy to be here together. My name is Gabri Bahadurai, and I am the founder and also the president of the Transitional Eritrean Government in Exile. For so many years, yes, since even young age, I was one of the early victims of Exodus. That was 1977, since the time. If not only one time, for 30 years, because of the existing government, I couldn't even visit my family. I couldn't be back home, where I was even welcomed 2 weeks ago to go to Ethiopia. Therefore, we decided, after so many struggle through the political parties and many different waves of people's movement in other sense, so I didn't see much to work. So I came up with the idea a little bit different, which is government in exile. If you're going to fight a government, you might act and prepare yourself as a government so you don't become a failed state, because it's not only for the sake of changing the government. So what after changing the government? Anything you try to remove something, you must think about replacement. So for that reason, 2.5 years, we introduced this government in exile, officially registered under the State Department of Justice. Going forward, even now, we are also working in order to elevate our program through the lobbying firm of Moran and Enterprise. And for that reason, that's why Mr. Elias is here, and he is the one to introduce both of us. So with that, I think I'll let it sit here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. G. Going forward, Mr. Elias, Vice President of the Moran Strategies Incorporation lobbying firm, can you tell us who you and who you are and what role do you play with the Biafra and the Eritrean government in exile?
Thank you so much. I'm greatly honored to be here with all of you. As noted, I am a lobbyist with Moran Global Strategies, which is a lobbying firm founded by my good friend and colleague, James Moran, who served as a member of Congress representing Virginia for about a quarter of a century. Our firm has a great specialty in representing foreign clientele, whether it be foreign governments, foreign political parties, or corporations. amongst other clients, which include defense companies and a wide variety of causes. Our firm represents both the Biafra Republic government in exile. We also represent the Eritrean government in exile and the transitional president of Eritrea, Gebre Badarai. And these are not only clients, but also good and dear friends as well. And our firm, because we represent both clients, we brought both these Biafran causes and Eritrean causes together because it's always beneficial to see if there's mutual synergy between clients. To give you a layman's perspective, if you will, of what is lobbying at a granular level, which I think will be helpful for your audience. Similar to, I think the best analogy, which I think will make this lobbying, which oftentimes can be overly complicated, in a very simple, practical, and easy to understand way, is similar to how people hire accountants to do their taxes, or people hire lawyers to navigate the legal process. People hire lobbyists to navigate the political process and to influence public policy. Now, theoretically, you don't need a lobbyist. Everyone has the right to petition the government, but you have a much better chance of influencing policy, of having a voice in the room if you have a lobbyist. The same thing is in court. You could technically go into court without a lawyer, but if you go into court without a lawyer, and on the opposite side, you have a lawyer that's from a top law firm being paid $1,000 an hour, you're probably going to lose the case. The same thing applies here. We have expertise, we have an understanding of how Washington works, and we have relationships. Many of the members of Congress who are still in Congress have served in Congress with my colleague Jim Moran. He knows them. They know him. Many members of Congress know me. Many people in the think tank community know me. So when we make meeting requests on behalf of our clients, or when we try to relay items on behalf of our clients, it's not coming from a stranger. It's coming from a friend, a familiar voice. And look, I want to be clear. When we make requests, it doesn't automatically mean the member of Congress is going to do whatever we request or whatever we want. But we're in a position where we could have direct access, where we could put our clients face to face with the member of Congress, with their staffer, with the think tank official, with the stakeholders, where they could have that direct access, which is very difficult to get if you don't have a lobbyist. I'm just being very frank with you, because these offices are inundated with thousands of requests a day from people, most of whom they don't even know. And so the reaction you're going to have when you have someone that is a known quantity versus someone you never heard of before, it's going to be completely different. And because of what our activities, we're already seeing the results. Most recently, for example, the American Enterprise Institute and one of its senior scholars, Dr. Michael Rubin, who I've known personally for many years, published a very influential article talking about the Biafra self-referendum. This has not been ever done before. Biafra, until our engagement, really hasn't been discussed in Washington, D.C. But now, because of our efforts, one of the world's most influential think tanks is publishing about Biafra. With President Badarai, we've had a series of high-level meetings with President Badarai. We've had a series of high-level meetings with Congressman Sherman, with Ambassador Nagy. Ambassador Nagy also met with the Biafran Prime Minister, and they published these meetings. They issued tweets, which generated enormous publicity and also have caused us to receive attacks from the Eritrean Minister of Information. So with our activities, we're able to directly influence U.S. policy on behalf of our clients and to get real results, which would be difficult to achieve otherwise. And so, I view us as the spokesperson, if you will, or the spokespeople for these two noble causes here in Washington, D.C. We've made enormous progress, and I think we'll continue to make a significant more progress in the next coming weeks and months. So I just want to give you the 60,000-foot overview of generally what is a lobbyist, what it is that we do, why we're important. And I'm sure your audience can understand, when a congressperson receives a call from someone they served in Congress with for 20 years, it's going to be reacted to differently than a random phone call to their office. So I think this should be an easy message to comprehend. I think it's an important one for your audience to know. And I'm happy to discuss more specifics in the course of our conversation, but I just want to give you and your audience a 60,000-foot overview.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that, Mr. Elias, Vice President of the Modern Strategies. Going back to Prime Minister, the Honorable Simon Ekpa, can you give us some of the reasons why the Biafran people needed to be independent of the Nigerian government?
Thank you very much, Mr. Haibu, for that question. Biafra was forcefully joined together with Nigeria, other ethnic tribe in Nigeria, other ethnic nationalities. And during this forceful union, which was named the Amalgamation of 1914, the people that made up of the Niger area, which is today Nigeria, were not consulted. And people did not consent to find themselves, into this forceful union. And it may interest you that it is only in Nigeria that we have what is called a dangerous diversity. And in this dangerous diversity from 1914, we have seen Nigeria supervising death of millions upon millions of indigenous people, both those that were massacred and killed by the terrorists that are invading Nigeria from other parts of the world. Unchallenged, the history of the northern Nigeria, which was conquered by a man called Usman Dan Fodio, is what they are struggling all the time to replicate in this modern century. So Biafra found themselves in this forceful union with a very dangerous diversity, the diversity of culture, diversity of religion, diversity of language, everything. We are pulled apart from each other. Of course, it is not just about this diversity, but also the killings for a particular targeted purpose. And everybody understands that during the pogrom against the Biafrans in the north in 1945, it resulted to what led to the war, because the leaders of Biafra then decided that we can no longer continue to watch our people getting killed every day in Nigeria. And that led to the declaration of Biafra in 1967. Now, fast forward. After the war of Biafra in Nigeria, the genocide ended, there was something they called Triple R, which was introduced by the then president military ruler called Owon. And of course, on that ground and basis, Biafrans lay down their weapons. After that, Triple R
network.
I think we're having some challenges.
Yes. Until.
Am I being heard?
Yeah, I think yeah, we have some
The network problem.
problems. Yeah, we can go forward and then
Yes,
come
and then you
back.
come back. Yeah,
Yeah, yes,
yeah.
come back to you,
Yeah,
Mr.
I can continue. It is
Okay, good.
I can
Good.
continue.
Yeah,
It is one of those things. Yeah,
yeah,
it is one of those things we see in a movement like this. You're gonna see cyber attack. You're gonna see all manner of
exactly. Yes,
interruption.
that's true.
When the opposition and the evil enablers and their inventors are trying to disrupt this wonderful and historic program. So we are not going to be moved by all the interruption and all that. We will continue to focus on why we are here today. Whenever you stop hearing me, please call my attention. And when I also notice there is a problem on this side, I will also adjust. So going forward,
Keep the
today,
fight on, Mr. President, Prime Minister. Keep the fight going on. Yes, we will
thank you.
continue.
Thank you. So going forward, Nigeria today no longer function as a law-governed state capable of resolving its political problem, socio-political problem, the diversity problem, the ethnic crisis, the invention of the jihadist movement all over Nigeria. Nigeria have demonstrated that they are incapable of solving these problems. And so we have witnessed the massacre of people within the Nigeria state. We have witnessed the killings of indigenous people, and this killings is spreading very wide up to now to the southern part of Nigeria. And of course, these terrorists are struggling also to invade Biafra land. And they are being backed by the Nigeria state. As we see today, the Nigeria government is being controlled by these extremists. And then, of course, the Biafra people are completely different people from different background, different ethnic nationality, different religions, and all that. So we decided that we will not rely on Nigeria protection, otherwise the original plan of a man called Usman Danfodio will come to fruition. Biafra decided that we are going to take this upon ourselves as the leaders of the Biafra in the 60s have created the awareness and, of course, tried to defend Biafrans that are getting killed all over Nigeria. And, of course, that particular attempt failed in what we see as a genocide. Nigeria have not been tried in any court for the starvation of Biafrans and the war crime against Biafra people. Today, Nigeria security agents are all infiltrated by Boko Haram and other terrorist groups. And these terrorists are being sent to different parts of Nigeria, either to directly attack and enable the conquest of other ethnic nationalities, or they are going to be there to supervise and shell the terrorists while they sack villages and communities. On a daily basis, we witness hundreds and hundreds of people getting killed, many kidnapped for ransom, and Nigeria government does nothing about these crimes every day. So the Biafra government, both in the homeland and in exile, has taken up the responsibility for defending Biafra people, providing the security that Nigeria has failed to provide. And of course, in this particular quest for our freedom, we decided to use multidimensional approach because we know the complexity of a fight like this, especially in a globalization where all the political correctness, people who believe in political correctness are in power. You will see where people are getting massacred and you overlook it, or you want to use a soft word to either defend the perpetrators or to ask the victims to calm down and obey law and order. How can you be asking somebody to obey law and order where there is no law and order? If there is no law and order, if there isn't any law and order in Nigeria where we will be, asked to calm down and wait for law enforcement to take its course, you will not have people killed in the first place. The people who are supposed to enforce the law are the people that are killing. And they have become the terrorists because they have been infiltrated. The commanders, generals in the army are all affiliated to Boko Haram and Islamic jihadist movement. So Nigeria started as a secular state from 1960. It was called a secular state. Secular state in the sense that there is no official religion, there is no official language and all that, only language that ethnically, like dialect, and all that the general language, accepted language and official language become English. Today, as I speak to you, Nigeria from the back door have adopted the Islamic Sharia law without referendum. That secular state has disappeared to the blue moon. In Nigeria today, under our very own eyes, the northern state adopted Sharia law without referendum. Because in that northern state, you have people who are not Muslims, people who migrated from other parts of Nigeria to the northern state, and they are not Muslims. And during the time they were migrating, Nigeria constitution says secular state. And today, they found themselves in an extreme Islamic Sharia state, where their heads are being cut off, where they are stoning them to death at any provocation, where the people who don't even know anything about the religion are being stoned to death. And of course, those that are made open, we'll talk about it. One of the recent one is a lady called Deborah. Deborah is not a Muslim. She's a Christian. She was accused of blasphemy, even when she's not part of their religious movement. She was stoned to death. We are not against Muslims. We are friends of Muslims. We have Muslim friends all over the world. But what we are saying is that let live and let live. If you must have a Sharia in Nigeria, and those people who have agreed to have a Sharia law in their state, they can have their independence. Not necessarily deceiving the people in the sense that they are in Nigeria, where you have a secular state, only for them to realize that if they talk anything against their religion, they're going to get killed and stoned to death. And they are still living in that delusional state of a secular state. Today, Nigeria is being recognized by the United Kingdom as one of the Islamic state. That was the exact word that Macron used, that Nigeria, an Islamic state, was one of those countries that were negotiating the ceasefire with Israel and Palestine. And of course, supporting the killing of Israel, the invasion of Hamas against Israel territory, which recorded killings and abduction of innocent women and children. Now, again, the dangerous diversity is this. While Nigeria will go to the UN General Assembly to vote and support the state of Palestine, they kill us with guns just for coming out to protest and say that we are ready to also have an independent state. Biafra has suffered the highest, they have become the highest victim in order to continue to push the message and narrative of one Nigeria. We lost 3 million children, not to gun, not to bomb, but to starvation. And that was the war crime committed, one of the war crimes committed by Nigeria. And of course, they have probably escaped being tried for that crime because of the time the UN and of course the International Criminal Court came in place. Having said that, it is not enough that after these 3 million children died, today we are facing times 1,000 of what led to the war that supervised the death of over 3 million. Is it not reasonable for the entire globe?
By Dalolin Nukunusi, when I surrender Igbo media, the Kunsinesala, I snatchuko Kabia Mapulum Yen, I go soon in Nofu, I try Kurochakoya did it, Isa, Kapapa lo, Kiti alone Kegina, Ye Nini no Bastamaka, Ye Biafran Prime Minister Gasini Rahu, and those of this feature, Kabaro Kiti alone Kegi feature, no din Kegi. Gbasta maka ya bụ ife dịka anyị nọkwa na-echekwa olileanya na Maazị Nnamdi Kanu ya pụta oge na-adịghị anya na n'ụlọ mkpọrọ. Anyị sị na Chukwu abịa ma ga-enye ya ike nọnyere ya chekwaba ya mana anyị kwuru otu a ka ọ ya dịrịrị. Ise. Thank you, and also stay tuned at Eastern News 24. Ka emesịa nụ ndị be anyị.